So I provide these examples, and I want you to think about this, because one of the reasons that we are seeing this sense of apathy, this lack of concern, this lack of enthusiasm uh, from our students is because we want students to be excited about stuff that don't excite them. We want them to be invested in stuff that they don't see why my time, my energy, and my mental capacity is worth me paying attention to you and what you have to offer, when I can entertain myself, educate myself, get a quick dopamine hit from something else that is more important or relevant and valuable to me. The first thing we need to understand when we think about this whole idea that students are apathetic. Students are not apathetic, they are just disinterested. Students, it's not that they don't care, it's just that they don't understand why they should care. It's not that school is not important to them, it is just that they don't understand, or it has not been effectively communicated, why school should be important to them in the future. And so what is helpful for us to think about as we are communicating to students why they should be concerned, why they should be enthusiastic, why they should be excited about what's happening in classrooms or in schools, is because not what it's going to do for them now, but what is it going to do for the future self. But in order for you to be able to effectively communicate to the future self of your students, you have to know who they desire to be in the future. You got to know what are their pain points, how your content, how your classroom, and how what you are teaching will help them to solve their pain points in the long run. And your goal every day you sit in front of your students is to irritate that pain point and to soothe it. And when I say irritated, I'm not talking about being condescending, like, oh, I got my degree, I don't need to be in this classroom. I'm not talking about that. But what I'm talking about is help them to understand that what is in front of them right now, or what they're experiencing right now, is a problem, and how a meaningful education will help them to solve that problem. So one of the things that I talk about in Real Love is that when I was a high school, I was just in high school, when I was in middle school, like my reality for the most part of that experience was that my mom was in jail. If she wasn't in jail, my mom was out on the streets on drugs. This is going to be my life. I've never seen anybody go to college. The highest level of achievement for my family was getting a job at the post office. If not, you were either on drugs, in jail, on the street somewhere, selling dope. That was my reality. So when you are talking to me about the quadratic formula, which I still remember the rap, negative b plus or minus the square root, b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, say, hey, quadratic formula. Like, you're teaching me the quadratic formula. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. But what does that have to do with me now? What does that have to do with the fact that my mom is sitting in prison? What does that have to do with the fact that I don't know about what's going to happen after high school? What does it have to do with the fact that my mom is on drugs? What does it have to do with the fact that my brother is in prison? Like, that does not solve my problem for right now. But what helped me solve the problem was when teachers started to sell me a dream. I couldn't dream for myself, so teachers started dreaming for me. They started vision casting to me this dream that they had for me. And then when they started speaking to me about the things that they saw in me that would carry me into a future and transform this life, that's when I started to listen. So what you're telling me is, all right, if I get an A in this classroom and I demonstrate basic writing skills or basic understanding of math, I can go to college. And okay, so when I go to college, if I can complete college, then I have this degree, then I can make $60,000 a year. Now, let me tell you something. Y'all, as teachers, we like, oh my God, $60,000, that's nothing. But growing up in the 90s and you on food stamps and you see your grandma robbing Peter to pay Paul on her post office salary, $60,000 sounds like a whole lot of money. So now I'm starting to listen, because now the thing that you talking about and the thing that you're trying to sell me as to why it matters, oh, I'm interested. So you mean to tell me that if I change my grades and I get out of high school and I maintain at least a 2.5 GPA, I can go to a college, and I can go to a college out of state, and this college out of state will help me get away from seeing my mother on the streets? Okay. Talk to me. Talk to me. I'm listening. What are we doing to grab the attention of our students to where they are listening? But see, the thing about it is we cannot grab the attention of our students to get them to listen if we don't know what our students need to hear. We don't know what we need to be speaking to them. We don't know what we need to say to them to stop and grab their attention. And so people always talk about, oh, well, I don't understand the importance about relationships. And okay, we're going to relationship build for 2 weeks, but then after that, relationships are important because relationships and being intentional about building these relationships where we're understanding students, we're understanding their families, we're understanding their communities, we're understanding what's important to them, we're understanding the visions that they have for themselves. Those relationships are what gives us what we need to stop and get them to listen, right? Like when you are on social media and you are scrolling, and this is me going back to my marketing, what do you think companies are doing to you and with you while you are scrolling? They are tracking. They are watching. They're listening to they're looking at what you're clicking on. They are looking at what conversations you're engaging in. They're looking at what websites you are scrolling on. What they are doing is they're building a relationship with you, whether you know it or not, so that way they can put their product in front of you and they can get you to stop. And as they are watching, they are taking notes and they are tracking and they are developing this profile of who you are, right? So that way they can position the right product in front of you. How are we in our classrooms positioning the right product in front of our students? How are we understanding what they're watching, what they're following, what's trending in their life, what is important in their life, what is meaningful and valuable to them? And then using our content and our instruction to say, bam, if you do X, Y, and Z, I can help get you there. And don't talk about, oh, well, we got the skills and we have to do the skills and we have to do the content and we have to master this standard and we have to use this curriculum, because still, if you really know your students, you really know your students, you know every individual student, then when you are going through that lesson, as you are designing that lesson, you can think about, with every student in mind, this is the point that I need to stop at for Laura. This is the point that I need to stop at for Roberto. This is the point that I need to hone in for as we're going through this text, as we're working this problem, as we're studying this event in history. These are the things and the points that I need to stop and I need to illustrate, or I need to hone in on, or I need to amplify, so that way Julie understands why this is important to her, what this is going to help her do. But you can't make that connection if you don't know about your students. And here's the deal. This is why I talk about this constant and continuous building of relationships, because it doesn't just like, you don't just get to know your students in the first 2 weeks of school, right? The students change. We are human beings who are shaped and influenced by what's happening around us. And you can tell, and I can tell you, that the same person that I was 6 months ago, I'm not today. The person that I was 2 weeks ago, I'm not today. Guess what? Right now is the future, or right now is the past, because it's always changing. Right now is the past. So continuous relationship building, continuous getting to know our students on a deep level helps us to understand, how do I now position what I'm trying to sell to them as something of value add and transformation to their life.